my fault. So I'm joined by Catherine Yaffe and Rebecca Miller. So Catherine's hosting our the Experts panel tonight. A light just went off at the side of me and I wondered what was happening. I'm worse than a cat tonight. I'm just about. And Rebecca Miller is an editor. So we're going to I'm going to leave these two ladies to introduce themselves and have a quick chat. So Kat, do you want to introduce yourself first and then Rebecca?
Okay, yeah, no problem. So, hi, my name is Catherine. You may have seen me in the group before. I'm the author of got it here, The Lie She Told, which came out in October. And Rebecca is my editor. Is it that way? Yeah. Rebecca is my editor. I met Rebecca last September. She was highly recommended to me, and I would now highly recommend her to anyone else as well. So, over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you. So I'm Rebecca. I'm a book editor that specializes in crime fiction and thriller. So you've probably seen me lurking around and offering my unsolicited opinions, but there we go. And it's been lovely to get to know everyone in the UK Crime Club Book Club. And it's also been lovely to work with Kat, who is immensely talented. And I am very excited to work on her second book, which is what we delivered the other day. So it's exclusive, guys. But no, as well as The Lie She Told was absolutely brilliant. I didn't have the pleasure of working on that one,
no.
But it was. It's just a taste of how brilliant it's going to be. So I've got to ask an expert panel later in the year, so I'm going to shut up and let Kat lead the way.
Thank you. Is Sam coming back on now, or shall we just dive straight in?
I missed that, sorry.
I was just going to say, is Sam coming back on now, or shall we just dive straight in? Do you want to ask me the question?
Okay, I shall ask you the question. Okay, so although you currently write fiction, in your past life you did a lot of stuff for digital marketing, and the roles have reversed in that I want to ask your opinions on all things digital marketing because I'm basically floundering. So we have I don't know, is it a new thing? Like, what sort of, if you're a book editor, or an author, what sort of things should you be thinking about is with digital marketing? And I guess my main question is, if you're short on time and I guess expertise, what's the best thing you should be doing?
Okay, so I'll answer your second question first because it kind of all ties in. So what you really need to do is find out which channel is giving you the return. So not just as in seeing your book sales climb, but which channel are you having the most interaction on? Which channel are you building a deeper connection with your readers? So for example, for me, Twitter is absolutely my go-to channel. It's the one where I'm most active. It's where I've got kind of my tribe, I guess. And I know that if I post things on there, I'm going to have a bit of interaction, and it doesn't have to be, all time consuming and, lose hours per day, although I do. But it's just, kind of checking in with the hashtag writing community, and you tend to build up relationships and you get to know how people's work in progress again. So you've got that side of it where you're supporting other authors. Of course, authors are readers, and those authors have their own audience. And if you build that relationship and you have a book coming out, then retweet that, which will then go to their readers, and it kind of organically grows. So for me, I would say spend your time where you're seeing the most return. And then the other element of it is I've been doing this since around about 2008, which is when we set up our digital marketing agency here in Yorkshire. I just fell in love with social media and became an absolute addict. And then I kind of, right, how do we make this work for businesses? So it's been around for a long time, but the aspect of it's changed in that it was always seen as a very, very noisy and distracting, and it's finding out what works for businesses and authors, I guess, and building. If you're a system person and you like process, then you will find it easy to adopt a digital marketing strategy. So you're saying you're floundering, but yet you did something in November, which was absolutely brilliant, which was you did a different Instagram post or social media post every day, and you had a different question or a different statement, and you kind of shared that. And I think I took part for maybe 2 weeks, but then I had to rewrite a book. But that's brilliant because that got you. Because that got you the engagement. That kind of thing is ideal. It's things that people can latch onto. So instead of just thinking about, pushing your book constantly and talking about you all the time, it's how can you expand that and talk about other people and bring them in, because ultimately it's a conversation. So being a little bit creative around it and how you can kind of open those doors to get other people to interact with you, and that's how you can then build the relationships. That's what it is. It's know, like, and trust. Let people get to know you. Hopefully they'll like you, and then ultimately you have that trust, and that's when they'll commit to, I don't know, sign up to your newsletter or buying your book or whatever. Does that answer your question?
Oh, that was that perfectly answers my question. I find Instagram more natural, because in a past life I used to do photography and that sort of thing, so visual things work as well for me, as well as Twitter and all that sort of stuff. But so that's interesting to hear, because I always thought, oh, I'm supposed to be a writer. Why am I doing that stuff with the photos? But yeah, that's reassuring to hear. You did mention. Sorry, I'm going to nick one more question. Sorry, guys.
Right.
You did mention mailing list briefly. So I was just wondering, how do you kind of, like, if you're a brand new author with no sort of like marketing sort of thing, how do you start that and kind of build that up, really, rather than talking into the wind?
So did you say mailing list? Sorry, I didn't catch the beginning of it. Yeah. Okay. So
I talk too fast.
It's super simple. I guess the philosophy behind it, as I said, it's about building relationships. So when I kind of committed to being a full-time writer last January, February time, I had maybe 200 people on a mailing list, and these were people that were so loyal. I mean, they'd followed me through every kind of, from the digital marketing days to every kind of reincarnation that I could. So I emailed them and I said, look, I'm having a change of direction. This is what I'm doing. If you want to stay on board, welcome. If you don't, unsubscribe is absolutely fine, because the last thing I want to be doing is committing my time to people that are not interested in what I have to say. Thankfully, not many unsubscribe. So I was starting with about 200. My mailing list now is at about 1,500. And I use tools like Story Origin and Book Funnel, but most of it has actually come organically through my website, through if I put something on Twitter, I've put a blog post on there. I've made sure at the bottom of the blog post I've had, for further updates, please subscribe here. I've asked people to share the newsletter with their friends who are readers, and make sure the newsletter content is interesting. So I showcase other independent self-published authors. I've introduced you on my newsletter as well. If I've spoken to a police expert like Graham Bartlett, who we both know, I've introduced him as well, and he then in turn will share that newsletter with his audience, which then encourages them to subscribe up with me. So it's all very organic. And then the other part of that is when people first sign up, is I then use a system called autoresponders. So you'll sign up, you get an email that will say, hi, this is who I am. This is what you've signed up to. Are you absolutely sure you want to do this? Because the last thing, again, I don't want to be wasting time talking to people that I don't want or that are not interested. So then get a second email saying, this is what the monthly newsletter looks like, but this is actually these blog posts that you can catch up on. This is my Facebook page. Go over and say hello. These are the live events that I'm going to be talking about. So it's you're giving people something to do, but you're telling them what it is that you want to do. Now, you notice at this point, I've not mentioned my book at all. I've talked about me. I'm building that know and that like, because at this point, they don't trust me. They've been either referred from somebody else, or they've just happened to glance on my website. So what I'm doing with these autoresponders is building trust. So maybe on the fourth email, I'll say, by the way, did you know I've got a book out, or I've got a book coming out? or you can download a free chapter here. And that's when I wouldn't have got. And then what's going to happen is those 3, 4, 5 people are going to hopefully leave reviews, tell their friends, and then again it's going to grow organically from there. That was rather a long answer, but I think it answered.
No, that was a wonderful answer. And speaking of, I think we've got to the 4th newsletter bit, so maybe you want to show your book off again. I'm just being an editor and putting my author, and then I will disappear and let you talk to everyone else.
So yeah.
No.
Brilliant.
Okay, so
where are we now?
are
We've
we
got some
doing-
more questions. What's the best way to maximize your Instagram following? Oh, hi Sam.
Hi. So I am going to thank you so much, Rebecca,
Thanks,
for
Rebecca.
joining us. That was lovely. So I am going to. You missed your cue there. Rebecca asked you to show your book. You're at the 4th.
Oh, did she? I didn't hear her. I'm sorry. Speakers are over the other side of the office. Oh, sorry, it's there. Oh,
You missed
Sam.
the trick. So the other thing that happens when you're really good at marketing and your book's fantastic is that brunettes start stalking you on social media and inviting you to do things.
Yeah, real random questions.
Yeah, we have the most random conversation. So I'm going to, before we go to the questions at the side, I'm going to, I'm just thinking, you've seen me in all states so far this year, well, the last year.
Last year,
When I
yeah.
lost my voice, I couldn't even talk to you, and Kaz kindly stepped in. So I'll get you with book 2. I can't wait. My question was, so as you know, I've started work on my debut, not done enough writing yet, still got lots and lots of notes, and I need to really dive in. Yeah. Oh, well, let's hope you'll all be cheering. Let's hope you'll be cheering and not using it as kindling. Shouldn't make a joke about burning books. Oh, that's a rookie mistake and a beautiful book club. Move on quick. So I want to know, before I even write my debut, what should I already be building up? What should I already be doing?
Okay, so your social media following. And this is regardless of whether you're going to go down the self-published route or the traditional route, because Rebecca will tell you the first thing an editor or a publishing house will do is Google you. They will find out what your online presence is, because at the end of the day, even if you get a traditional publishing contract, you're still going to have to do the marketing yourself. And if you've got a crowd of people that are already there wanting, or that you're building relationships with, it's going to stand you in good stead on 2 fronts, because if you're self-publishing, you're going to need to build that email list so that you can build the relationship. On the other side, on the traditional side, the publisher is going to say, yeah, this author knows what they're doing. They've already got a following. That's tick box right there. So that's what I would say. And as far as kind of growing that social media presence, it's about being yourself. It's about not putting on a front. This is my experience anyway. And when we used to teach training courses for this is one thing that I said above everything else is, as much as you have to find your voice as an author, you also have to find your voice on social media. Now, for me, I'm a Yorkshire girl. There's no point in me pretending to be out else. I'm straight down line. So it would be pointless if I presented myself on social media as this glamorous, always made up, beautifully dressed, because I'm not. That's not what you'd get. What you do get is...
We're juggling our dramas doing this, aren't we?
Yeah. So... yeah, so find your voice. Find who do you want to be? What do you want to be? What do you want to be seen as, known as? So, like for me, I hope people get the impression that I'm open, I'm friendly. People can ask me any questions, and I'll answer them as honestly and as to the best of my knowledge and ability. I do actually. It's funny because I do get from my email newsletter. I always put, if you've got anything you want to ask, just email me back, and I get random emails from all over the world. And I got one from a lady the other day asking me if I'd found Jesus yet, because she felt I needed him in my life. I'm not a religious person. I'm actually from a Jewish background, but it was quite funny. Anyway, so it's about who once you've found that voice, then find the channel that you're most comfortable with. Again, as I've said, for me, it's Twitter. I don't mind Facebook. I've got a lovely little Facebook page, and I've got some really loyal followers on there. So I'll pop in every so often, do some lives. It's just Catherine Yaffe author.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no skeeting it.
Sorry, I interrupted you, but
Right.
you've got to get plugs in where you can.
I know, exactly. So I've got my Facebook page. So when it's coming up to the launch of my second book, which is out in May, I'll get more active with doing May the 4th, day after the bank holiday.
May the 4th. Can't forget that. May the 4th be with you. We can't forget that.
Exactly.
Was that a little marketing tip for you?
Oh, yeah. Anybody would think I knew what I was doing. So you build your audience by kind of presenting yourself as you want to be seen, and then it's jumping onto hashtags. Honestly, I mean, I
don't understand. I really try with hashtags, but I'm doing a bit of a trial and error thing at the moment. Is that the best way to kind of learn what works?
100%, without a shadow of a doubt. Find what works for you. So for me, for example, I know that if I write a new blog post, and this is ridiculous and it shows how much of a geek I am, if I put the link at the beginning of a tweet, it gets more of a response than if I put it at the end. I mean, that's crazy, right? But that's what works for me. Whether it works for other people, don't know, but that's what works for me. So mess about, and things like on Twitter and on Instagram as well, hashtag writers community, writers life, authors page, and then of course hashtag readers. So every so often on Twitter I'll do a poll, or on Instagram stories I'll do a poll. Like I asked the other day, do you read prologues? Yeah, I do. Yeah. I suggested that to you the other day about some of that. He's playing around.
We've not mentioned the digital marketing book yet. Made Easy. You mention it in your book, how you're a big fan of it, but we've not even gone there yet. We're nearly halfway through. So digital marketing made easy. Go on, I've interrupted you again.
Yeah, sorry, no. Basically everything I'm saying is in here. So I wrote this book back in 2018, I think it was, when it first came out. Can you see that all right? And it is available on Amazon. It's £1.99. I do have a copy to give away if anybody would like it. This isn't particularly for authors. It's for any business really that wants to start online. And I think sometimes that's where the author's mindset is a little bit different, in that they don't think that you have to think like a business when you're an author. Particularly when you're self-published, obviously you've got to do everything yourself. But everything that's in here applies to anybody that's trying to build and grow and then ultimately sell a business online. So it covers everything from planning your journey, so deciding which steps you're going to take, finding your market, so Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, where does your market hang out, building know, like and trust, which I've already mentioned. It's got a section called List Building Made Easy, where I break down how you set up a landing page, how you then add the little box that says subscribe here. Then it goes into sales funnel, so it talks about what I was talking about with Rebecca. It's got your autoresponders, so you know how you gently lead people and to the point where they then decide to buy from you. Got a chapter about email marketing in general, so I give you some ideas as to what you can put within your email marketing business. I then talk about email nurturing, which is again gently taking people on this journey through email. It's got a 28-day digital roadmap at the back as well. But what I have done, I don't know if I printed it off, but what I have done is I've created a download that's just for you guys, that's based entirely around the authors. So I'll message the link across to you.
Why don't you tomorrow do a little post? We'll give you post permission, and then we'll save it into our files.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. So it can, so I've got one of these if you want to give that away to one lucky first book club listener. And yeah, that covers the book, really. But if it hadn't have been for me using the techniques in here, I'm 100% convinced there is no way this would have got as high in the Amazon charts as it did when it launched. and it's not just because, oh, I've got a background in digital marketing. It's something that any author, anybody that's got a business online can do, and it's really simple.
Shall we go to some of the questions that have been asked at the side? I've got questions too, and I know you had some from Twitter before we start as well. So I've got all of that saved. So Kaz wants to know, what's the best way to maximise your Instagram following? So her husband gets his most interaction on Instagram. So what's the best way to maximise your following on there?
So I would have what I'd call a hit list. So I'd have maybe 5 or 10 accounts that I want to follow to build an interaction with. Not stalking them, but watching for the posts, putting comments on there, but comments that kind of lead to a question. So they come back to you. That's going to make them check out your profile and then decide whether they want to kind of interact with you or not. Also follow hashtags. So like I said, so if you're an author and you're looking to accrue a reader following, then follow the hashtags readers of Instagram. What's the others as well? If you just in the Instagram tool, if you in the search function, if you do hashtag readers, it will give you a list of all the book reviewers as well. That's a good one. And then go in and follow those accounts, and inevitably they will follow you back. I would say.
This is where I should give a bit of a shout out to the UK Crime Book Club Instagram page as well. And you're on there as Cat Yaffe author. Is that right?
Author, yeah, Cat Yaffe _ author, yeah.
Should I really know that off the top of my head? This is how big a fan I am. That I knew.
That's embarrassing.
Right, okay. One of the questions you were asked on Twitter, how do I find my readers?
Yeah, okay. So this is, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. And this is out and out stalking, quite frankly. Find an author that you admire on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Look at who is following them. Follow them. Follow their followers. You see what I mean?
Okay, I never would have thought to do that.
I mean, there's no law against it as far as I'm aware. I've been doing it for years and not got caught. So. But yes, to follow their followers and also FBI knocking on door. So, but also if you're looking at kind of the people, the authors that inspire you, look at what they're talking about as well. And don't copy, obviously, because that'd be plagiarism. But look at what they're talking to their readers about. What questions are their readers asking that you can then create your own posts from? If you do that kind of for maybe half an hour a day for a week, you're going to get at least 4 to 6 weeks worth of content that you can blog about, you can video, you can create Instagram stories from. There's just a wealth of information out there if you're just a little bit canny about how you do it. Honestly, it's what Kim Kardashian did. I mean, I got sick of her copying me.
I did start doing some author research. So you're somebody that I've looked at, and David Blake as well. And I found my face on David Blake's page. There was a link to our interview, which was like, that was a bit of a fangirl. As you can tell, I'm a bit of an author junkie, so it's and it was a cracking image as well. You can imagine. Kaz will tell you the images of my face. When like actors say, "Oh no, I never watch anything because your face looks unnatural when you see yourself." Yeah, and I can see myself, and it's unnatural. I've spotted a comment from Kaz. She's waiting for her revenge moment. So I teased you both a bit. Tell us a bit about what book 2 is about and where it's set.
Oh, I'm really excited about this. Really excited about it. I sent it to Rebecca yesterday afternoon, and I'm not going to lie, Sam, I cried like a baby. this book has taken so much out of me, kind of mentally, emotionally. I have lived and breathed every character, every plot twist. It's just, I'm really excited, but I'm really nervous. So it picks up on the story of D.I. Ziggy Thorns, who was briefly mentioned in The Lie She Told, but it's about him having to, he's back at home in Leeds. He has to hunt down a sadistic killer when a trail of female bodies turns up in a well-known Leeds park. But the journey, I hate that term, but the journey he has to go on takes him right back to his own front door. And then all hell breaks loose, and it's just absolutely catastrophic for him and for those around him, potentially for his career. But he absolutely refuses to give up the chase and surrenders everything to find this killer. And it turns out that he knew who it was all along.
Oh. And where is this
So
book set that Kaz is so gleefully cackling about?
Yeah, it's set in Leeds. It's not a million miles away from Kaz. It's in Hyde Park. It's in and around Hyde Park and Woodhouse Moor and Holbeck and
not so much the area, none of the settings that you've used.
The what? Sorry.
Is there a certain club that's involved?
Oh yeah, no, it's changed. There is a club involved, but I can't tell you what that is because that would spoil it.
All right, okay. Right, we'll move on. Haha,
that was
can't get there.
You were talking, I know what you were talking about, and no, I rewrote it.
Right, okay. Then that's then yeah.
It's still very warped.
So Kaz was looking forward to teasing her, because obviously she stepped in for the interview, and when you said where it was going to be,
that's
she
right.
was gleefully waiting to get a revenge, and she's written it and she can't. Haha. Right, let's go. Go for another one of the Twitter questions. How do I find my readers?
Using the hashtags again, and like I said, use the look for authors that you admire. I think I've already answered this, haven't I? Look for authors that you admire, look who's following them, and then follow their followers.
You have. I've asked you the same question twice. I apologise.
Yeah, God, you're paying attention.
So how do you sell through your mailing list?
How do you start it?
How do you start it, and how do you sell through it? So you touched on it a bit with Rebecca, actually.
Yeah. So it's actually really simple. The book again goes into more detail, and the download that I'm going to share with you breaks it down into really easy steps as well. So you need an email service provider. So by that I mean MailChimp, MailerLite, somebody like that, somebody that's going to do all the technical stuff that we don't know how. You can sign up for an account. I think, well, MailerLite is definitely free. I think MailChimp you have to pay now, but MailerLite you can have it's free up until 1,000 subscribers. So when you're just starting out, it's perfect because it means that you can kind of play around with it as well. Within the email provider platform, you're given the option to set up a landing page, and all you're doing with this landing page is capturing data. So you can, the link that I'm going to share, I've got my free workbook down one side, I've got a little bit about what's inside it on the other side, and then at the bottom, really simple, there is nothing else that anybody needs to press. They just put your name and your email address and click submit. That's it. So then you've got their email address. Once that's been accepted into MailerLite or whatever your email platform is, you will have already set up what's called an autoresponder, which will deliver that free download straight into their inbox.
Okay.
That's it. You've got an email subscriber. You can do it. You'll have seen it yourself. If you go onto websites, little boxes that pop up, you can do them within MailerLite. Little banners that sit on the bottom of a website. Again, that's really easily done within any of the email platforms. I prefer a landing page, because it's the thing with email subscribers is you have to tell them what you want them to do. And if you go to a website, you've got a blog post, you've maybe got a gallery, you've maybe got your other books, you've got so many things that they'll close the pop-up, have a look around, completely forget to sign up and come off your website. If you've got a landing page, they have no choice but to sign up if that's what they want to do. So once you've signed up, they get delivered the free download, which should be set to deliver within minutes of them signing up, because people don't want to wait.
Yeah.
And then you set your autoresponders up to say, how did you find the free download? Was it useful? Join me on Instagram, join me on Twitter, share your social media feed so you can build that connection with them. So that would be the second email. The third email would be, I'm doing a live on such and such a day, or where can I find you? Where do you hang out, so that you can connect with people again on a deeper level. And then the fourth one is, by the way, did you know I've got a book launch, or I've got a new book out, or whatever it is that you're wanting to promote. Because at that point they trust you enough to come into your inbox. That they're going to read your email because you've got something of value that you're saying to them. So my monthly email is called What Cat Did Next, and it's a little intro at the beginning. It's then about the books I've read, the podcasts I've listened to, and the blog posts that I've written. But what I do, because that's all What Cat Did Next, it's all very much about me. But also what I do is, and every single call to action, so that's call to action is what you're telling them to do, is email me back, have you read these books? Tell me about them, because you want to build that connection. And people do email you. Like I was saying earlier, I do get emails from all over the world from people saying, oh my God, I read that. I think it was a book about, Unnatural Causes, a book on postmortems, and this guy emailed me back and said, oh my God, I've read that book, it's amazing, and did you get this from it, did you get that? So I'm now in an email correspondence, and his last email to me yesterday was, how's book 2 going, when can I sign up for it? And that's a connection that you just won't, especially in these times, but that's a connection that you just won't get if you don't have that know, like and trust in place beforehand. I know I'm waffling on, Sam. You have to tell me to shut up.
No, I like it. I like waffling. It's good. I read a really good blog post from you actually about writing reviews.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And what to include. Yeah, so yeah, I am. I have been going through your website.
But that as well was written 2 weeks before my book was due out, because I wanted to get my readers, my fans of my Facebook page and the followers on Twitter, thinking about reviews. And I'd done a survey, a little post maybe a week before, saying, do you write reviews? And if no, why? And I had so many people say, no, they're too complicated. No, it reminds me of being back at school. No, it means that I have to dedicate time to it. So I came back and said, actually, no. Writing a review, you don't have to do the whole synopsis and, a million paragraphs, but it means so much to an author. Do you know what? Actually, I'm going to write a blog post about it and then see what you think. I wrote the blog post. The book came out 2 weeks later. I had maybe 30 reviews posted in the following 24 hours, and most of them came from people that were either on my mailing list or that were on my Facebook page.
Wow.
So it's about thinking about because I knew reviews are an issue for people. So it was me thinking, right, okay, how can I change their mindset? What can I do that's going to trigger that? So, oh yeah, clever stuff,
You know how much I'm going to miser you once this book's actually written, don't you?
It's absolutely fine. It's what I'm here for. I don't mind at all.
So there are other questions on here, and we've got more from Twitter as well. Kaz is saying it's amazing of you to make something for our, for us to put in the files for our authors.
No,
so we really do thank you for that, for taking to do that. We're really grateful of it. Have you got other authors whose marketing strategies you really admire?
Yeah. Claire McIntosh. 100%, hands down, Claire McIntosh. When I signed up to her, I think because I'm aware of these things, when I sign up to newsletters, I kind of watch out to see what they're going to be like. Claire McIntosh nailed it. absolutely nailed it. Didn't talk about her books, didn't push anything on me, just chatted about her life. She chatted about the goat that she's got. She chatted about her kids. She chatted about her book club. And then eventually further down the line, I think it was when the book After the End came out, there was a special offer that she was promoting through her publishers to get a signed copy of After the End, and it worked an absolute treat. And I sat there and, well done, Claire, well done. But for sheer entertainment value, they're Marion Keyes, because she's just hilarious. That woman can do no wrong.
So we've just had a sneaky peek at your reading list as well. On the Twitter questions, what do I talk about in my newsletter? So you've hit on it a bit with talking about family and hobbies and things that you read, other people that you follow, what you've been up to. But people generally find that they don't think their own life is that interesting. So how do you know what's worth doing? Now, funnily enough, this year we've had a lot of things about, putting the bins out has actually been a bit of an event in the last 12 months. So now it's kind of, now it would be kind of funny. But generally putting the bins out wouldn't be an on-trend topic. So how do you know exactly what you should be sharing and what's just rubbish? For
me, I treat my newsletter as if I'm sitting down with a friend and having a coffee. So I think about what kind of conversations that we would have. What would I want to know from them? What would I want them to tell me about their life? And when I can see my friends, one of the questions always is, what have you been reading then? What have you been watching on TV? What good Netflix series have you got? Stuff like that. So I just kind of take that and translate it into a newsletter. But I also update people on where I am with the book that I'm currently writing. So with the Web They Wove, which is the name of the book that's out in May, I'd already written it and sent it off to Rebecca. So in my November newsletter, I was like, I've written it, it's done, it's going to be out in January, and everything's great, everything's fine, everything's dandy. Rebecca worked her absolute genius magic, sent it back to me, and I just thought, it's not what I wanted to write. It's not. So I binned all the, it was like maybe 70,000, 80,000 words. I binned them off and completely started again. So in my December newsletter, I then had to say, you remember last time we spoke? And I said, I've written this book. Well, I haven't. And I got emails from people saying, look, we'll wait. You just put out the best book that you can, and thank you for thinking of us and stuff like that. So it's sharing a little bit of yourself. And please don't think that people aren't interested, because they are. We as a race, we are nosy. Oh, are we nosy? And how many times have you been on a Zoom call? I'm chatting to you and I'm looking to see what books are behind you. And that. But that's kind of how we are, innately nosy. We want to know about people's pets and holidays when we're allowed to go on them, and and stuff like that. And I think I always think, if I'm going into somebody's inbox, would this person want to meet me for a coffee? What I'm saying to them, is it good enough for them to sit and share a coffee with me? That's kind of the overriding thing. But you've got blog posts, you've got blog posts that you can share. If you've got a YouTube channel, you can share that. If you've listened to a podcast, it doesn't even need to be about writing, it doesn't even need to be about books. If you've listened to one on well-being, or the sober life, for example, because I'm doing Dry January, share that. People want to know, they want to learn. Or maybe I just overshare, Sam. I'm not sure.
I am not one to talk about oversharing. You know far too much about me. Rebecca wants to know, should your newsletters or emails to your mailing list be the content you want to include, e.g. a book review, or should it be a link to that content elsewhere, for example, the review on your blog?
Yeah. Remember I mentioned before about calls to action. So this is what you want people to do. So as much as you're being lovely, nice and friendly and building know, like, trust, ultimately you want people to do something. So if your book has been on a 99p Amazon sale and you want to let your loyal subscribers know about it, send them there. If you're looking to drive people to your website because there's more information on there, or there's an exclusive on there, include the link to your website. If you want to include it, so in my December newsletter, Rebecca was doing the gift cards, so I put a little bit about Rebecca being my editor, and then I included the gift card, and the link went straight to Rebecca's website, so hopefully she saw some return for that. So it's wherever you want people to go, really. I'm just seeing if that answers AG book review, or should it be linked to the content elsewhere? I would say link out. I wouldn't put the review on the email itself. I would link it back to your website, because you're getting more web traffic, and hopefully then you're going to entice people to spend more time on your site, find out more about your services that you do, because they may not know fully what it is that you do.
It is clever. I never really would have thought about having, so say for example, I'd set up a Facebook page, and the fact that if I'm doing that, then that's what I should be linking to in that moment, because that's where you want to send people to. Never would have thought of a call to action in that way, that one week you could do, Facebook, another week or another month it could be to Instagram. Never would have thought of it like that.
Yeah. So my newsletter was due to go out on the 1st of February. But because I knew I was doing this, it went out at midnight, and I didn't, there was no big massive splash about it, because there were quite a lot of things that I wanted to talk about. But just, in a little paragraph that just said, by the way, I'm doing a question and answer with the UK Crime Book Club, link to the UK Crime Book Club, with Sam Brownlee. So please do, jump on and join me. And if you're into crime books, check out their Instagram page. So I put your Instagram page on there as well. So, you'll pick up maybe a few followers from that, and hopefully we'll get a few extra views as a result. So it was something for me to talk about. And I have a little post-it note, and as the month goes on, I just scribble things down that I want to write. I don't know what that says on there. Oh yeah, some internet research and things that are going to be relevant. So like for March, I'm going to be talking about how authors do internet research. May, I'm going to be talking about how authors do social media. I also need to watch an episode of Hunted. But anyway, I just make little notes as I go through the month. I go, my readers will be interested in that, and I just scribble stuff down.
I have a question for you, not really about marketing, but technically it is a bit of marketing for you. Have you started book 3? Have you thought about it?
Yes, I have. Now, I'm not going to show you it all, because it'll give it away. But yeah, it's all mapped out and planned.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's all mapped out and planned. The theory is to take next week off, have a break completely, and then I'll start it the week after. Start writing the week after.
But I mean, that's good advice as well, isn't it? To give yourself a complete break from time to time.
Oh, I mean, yeah, like I say, yesterday when I said to Rebecca, once I'd finished sobbing, I went and got a hot bath, loads of bubbles, and then today I just took the day off, went to see my parents, spent some time with them. I'm having the weekend off, and then next week I'll be kind of building the marketing plan for when the book comes out. So it's out in May, so I'll start promoting it in March. So it gives, maybe mid-Feb, March, it'll give, planning the cover reveal and showcasing the blurb and the back cover and all that kind of stuff.
Now I know we're not showing anything yet, but I like the cover.
Don't show it.
You know this. You had me up. I should have been asleep, and instead I'm writing a message to you, and then I looked, and it's 11:30 at night, and I thought, right, I'll send that. I'll save it. If it was anybody else, I might have gone, just delete that, you lunatic. But because it was you, I thought, right, I'll save that and I'll send that in the morning, because you'll be amused by this is what I'm awake thinking about, this cover and the title and how well it all flows from one to the other and the synchronicity of it. And so your marketing's clearly working, because I can't sleep. Dreadful.
Yeah.
Absolutely dreadful. Somebody has asked how long it took you to write The Lie She Told.
Oh my God. Well, that was a bit of a journey, really, because the character Kate was in my head for about 5 years, and I think, as I've said before, it started off as a bit of a romance. There is no way I'm ever going to write romance. It's just not me, really. So it took a really dark turn. But from the sitting down and the actual, from the sitting down and actually writing it, 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was
That's amazing, isn't it?
6 months, and there were 3 versions of it, so there were 3 drafts before I settled on the final. So there were 4 drafts. The 4th draft was the final one. So yeah, but I didn't work with an editor on The Lie She Told, which probably shows. But I did have a proofreader, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think it shows.
Well, I just.
It made it into
I
my
know.
top 10. For anybody watching, it made it into my top 10 books of 2020. And I read a lot last year, as you can imagine, a lot of us did. So it definitely didn't show, no.
I just know that working with. See, I still feel as if I'm very much a fledgling in this game. Although, you know, I do see it as a business, but I do see myself as I'm a full-time, very, very fortunate to be able to be a full-time author. And I know that to be the best that I can, I need to be able to work with people that know more than me. And Rebecca is by far, you know, one of those people. And I know that the second book and the other books going forward will be so much better because it's got that she's got that distance to it that I don't have. So she can read it from a reader's point of view, and as much as I try to do that, I'm always going to think, oh no, that character shouldn't be there right now, or no, I will always find fault. Whereas, you know, Rebecca's read earlier drafts, has come back and has given me such good advice that I thought, yeah, that needs to change. So I think that's why I'm really excited about this book. It's more police procedural than I wanted it to be, or than I thought it would be, should I say. So I've had to spend an awful lot of time speaking to former police inspectors and forensic experts, but I'm naturally fascinated by that anyway. So it's hardly work, is it?
No, when you're a big fan of crime and in all genres as you are, I mean, you eat, sleep and breathe it.
Yeah, I do. I literally do.
But you know, we do. It's one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were to look at the planner on my TV, it's just crime. I brought the husband over to the other side now, though, so he's quite into it as well, thankfully.
That always works when you're not fighting over the remote.
Yeah.
There's one more question that came in from Twitter, and I'm intrigued by this. What is a lead magnet?
Okay, so a lead magnet is, I'm just going to disappear just for a second because I think I might have one. Hang on.
Well, while you're gone, we'll look at your crime scene do not enter banner and your shed of words sign, which I always love. I love being able to start talking to Catherine in her shed of words.
I'm back. I don't have a lead magnet. I thought I printed it off, but I haven't. So a lead magnet is something that you're prepared to give away for free. That's the upshot. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
So it could be the first 2 chapters of your book that's coming out, or that's been out, if you want people to catch up if it's in a series. It could be if you're if you think you've got aspiring authors within your email list, and you want to inspire them to write more, but to write their own book. It could be a free download as to this is how you create a character, this is how you create a plot. It could be, so it's something that you're prepared to give away for free. More often than not, with authors, it's possibly the first 2 chapters of the book, because hopefully then you want them to go on and buy the full book. But I'm just trying to think of I think probably the first couple of chapters are a sneak peek of the cover or something like that.
Or like a short story or that kind of thing.
It could be. So for
stories from people that I've signed up with.
Yeah, so for the Lie She Told, ahead of the second book coming out, I'm doing a little short novella on who Ziggy is, where is he from, what was he like as a kid, what was his family like, who was he friends with, did he go to college. So I'm kind of filling in little gaps that book 2 doesn't cover because it just wouldn't be appropriate. So it's just like a little novella, probably about 12,000 words, something like that, 20,000 words, something like that. And it's already in my head, so I know when I sit down to write it, it'll only take me 2 or 3 days to do.
And how will that be available to people? Will they be able to buy that on Amazon, or?
No, it will be free. It will go onto my website, and I'll use it to build my email list. So, or I'll create a landing page and market it to my newsletter and put it on my Facebook page and post it on Instagram and on Twitter and ask people to sign up to it. Brilliant. Yeah, and then once I've got this, there'll be 3 in what I'm now calling the Tangled Web series. So there'll be The Lie She Told, The Web That They Wove, which is book number 2, book number 3, which I'm not going to tell you the title of yet, but I will have that series together. So it might be that once I've got the series, I give the first book away for free, and then hopefully people will go on and buy the second and the third. So depends on where you are.
It does. Kaz has just put a comment on from Leslie Lloyd. Hi, Leslie. She's interested in the writing reviews information. Apparently it didn't show up on the stream for some reason. So we might have just glitched out, or she might have just missed it.
Okay. So it's over on my website, which is catherineyaffe.co.uk. And if you go onto the blogs and you scroll up, you'll see how to write. I think it's called How to Write a Review, or Why You Should Write a Review. And it just breaks it down there, and it gives you places that you can post the reviews onto as well.
I know we've touched on this again tonight, but they are so important to authors, aren't they, the reviews? And they don't have to be longer than a line, really. If you're somebody who just wants to say, I really enjoyed this book, that's better than nothing. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I've always done book reviews because I've always been a book addict. And for years I had a bibliophile and I wrote them all down. And then I moved on to Goodreads. Thank God for Goodreads. So I've always done them. It's always something that's come kind of natural to me. But I do know that some people have a stumbling block and they think that they're back at school doing it. But I've not really appreciated what they mean to an author until I started to want reviews of my own. And because the way I see it is, I don't have somebody telling me whether my writing's good or not. Okay, I've got an editor, but their job is to edit the book, and I won't know how that story is going to be received. So if I've got somebody telling me, this character didn't go into such a depth as I wanted it to, I can think, right, okay, that's a learning point for me. I could take that into my next book. I can make sure I develop that character more. Or, it's like the reader for us is our teacher. They're going to tell us what's right and what's wrong, what they liked, what they didn't like, so that when we're writing in future, we can bear that in mind. If people don't tell us that, we're just going to keep writing the same old shit. We've got to kind of keep up with what it is that the readers want. And that's kind of I see it. My readers are my teachers. They tell me what it is that they want to read.
And on that note, we are right at the end of the hour. It has flown. And look, still got my voice. Still got it. So just quickly before we go, show us The Lie She Told again, and give us a quick overview of it for anybody who foolishly hasn't read it yet. I love it.
Okay. So The Lie She Told is a story about Kate, who has to escape her really comfortable life in Leeds and ends up in the Scottish Highlands. Everything's going great. She's built a new life for herself and her son, until somebody from her past appears and completely disrupts everything that she's built. And for her to escape all the drama, she must confess to the lie that she told. But what was that lie?
And it's a good one. Such a good one. So
I just found go on.
No, I'm just going to say thank you so much.
Thank you for having me again.
Well, we can't help it. I've got a bit of a Catherine addiction.
Weirdo.
I think I've done probably shouldn't say, but we've all done bios, the admins, and I've put in mine something about me being a professional stalker. At some point, they're just going to take the internet away from me. There's going to be a blacklist somewhere. But how would you like to end? Is there anything you'd like to say before we finish?
No, just thank you very much for the questions and for everything that you've asked me. If anybody would like a free copy, which I have sat here on my desk, of Digital Marketing Made Easy, then I don't know, just PM admins, and I'm sure we'll be able to sort that out for you. In the meantime, The Lie She Told is available on Amazon for $1.99 for the Kindle, $6.99 for the book, and please keep an eye out for The Web They Wove, which will be out on the 4th of May.
What I'll say is, just before we finish, on your post tomorrow, why don't you just pop on that? If anybody wants to leave a comment, then we'll choose one of them as a winner of the book.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll let everybody know when that will be drawn as well.
Cool. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I've thoroughly enjoyed my